So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto and Scarlet Witch. So let's start the series. In an effort to revive Zeref, a cult is currently reproducing the pinnacle of paradise, which was first created by the dark wizard Zeref. To finish the pinnacle, the group seized both adults and children. Two relatives, Urza Red, age 11, and Naruto Red, age 8, are among the inmates. They were seized from Rosemary Town with other children. Right now, Naruto and several children are trying to escape the pinnacle, and Naruto is the one motivating them. The red-headed man is still 3 feet 10 inches tall, with red-colored hair that juts out in all directions, a light tan complexion, and a slim build. He is wearing only shackles and some short, torn shorts, and his penetrating blue eyes are full of trust and earnestness. "Are you sure about this, Naruto?" Naruto looked across at his more experienced sister and said, "It's fine, Ursune, we will get strong wizards to come here to save everybody," following his sister's request. Another voice stated, "Look what we have here, a few little slaves that are attempting to escape," as the children froze. Soon, they were surrounded by watches and the clique leader. As the leader of the clique stood in front of them, all of the kids soon found themselves on the ground. "So, whose thought it was to run away?" As the watchman shoved the children to the ground, the pioneer yelled. Urza was about to speak up to defend the others, but Naruto and perhaps her closest friend beat her to it, saying, "It was us." As the pioneer stopped in front of them, Naruto and a rambunctious blue-haired child named Jalal Fernandez uttered. The pioneer added, "Monitors, take them for data. I will get my data an alternate way, and to ensure this one keeps that little whelp set up," as he dragged Urza and her hair away. Ursune, after a brief period of intense struggle, the gatekeeper repeatedly kicked his head to beat Naruto unaware while he sobbed, and the watchman booted him in the stomach to calm him down. An hour later, Naruto and Jalal are imprisoned in a cage close to the pinnacle's highest point. Naruto noticed something encircling Jalal. The last option didn't hurt him too much, but the prior one had several fractured bones and his right eye was gouged out. "I'm sorry, Ursune, but I probably won't make it." "Damn it! Everything hurts," Naruto thought as he struggled to keep his blood-covered left eye open. "Feeble, you are powerless." Naruto struggled to find the source of this voice. Peering inside, he noticed a figure covered in haze with 2 glistening crimson eyes, something out of a child's nightmares. "Your whole presence is feeble, yet you and I are something similar, so look at this as an endowment of sorts." When the creature reached a dark hand on Naruto's head and began to hold onto the child, Naruto began to lose his mind. In another section of the Pinnacle of Paradise, Urza just witnessed a man she believes to be her grandfather performing penance for her. Frustrated, she unleashed a sort of magical power and used it to send weapons and gadgets to the Guardians. Right now, it just seems irreparable because of the appearance of clique members who knew wizardry. Everything seemed lost until a blast occurred, and she was terrified to see a tall, defensively covered figure with dazzling red eyes begin destroying the watchmen with pod hands. The watchmen were eventually left on the ground, all of them with their appendages gone, their chests pod open, or just skewered by the monster. The creature's final action was to scream a demon thunder that made Urza shiver to his core. Urza's earth-colored eyes awoke as she rose from a bed. She looked at it a few moments before turning her attention to another bed. Her little sibling lay quietly, with swathes folded over his body. 7 days have passed since they left the Pinnacle of Paradise, and shortly after the monster disappeared, she discovered her sister was unaware of it. Urza then finished her sibling of the Pinnacle and joined the Pixie Tail organization. She met the local healer Porly Yusuka, the organization Ace Makarov Dreyer, and received a fake eye. Her sibling hasn't woken up yet. "If it's not too much effort, awaken," Urza cried in her own words as she sobbed late into the night after getting out of bed and lying in her siblings. She clutched his hand while she shed a few tears from her right eye. The next morning, Urza was awakened by Naruto's movements in bed. Huh, as she cleaned her right eye, Urza muttered, I noticed Naruto moving, so I went to get poorly Yusuke. A while later, she and the elderly man returned, and they both stood over Naruto. They saw that Naruto's eyes were open and panting in amazement, with his left eye being a consuming ruby and his right eye being its usual glittering blue. Urza didn't mind thinking, at least not yet, Naruto. Urza cried as she embraced her younger sibling, said Kid was removed watchman by the embrace. Urzane, Naruto returned his sister's embrace and inquired. Urza said, we made it Naruto, we're free, as tears streamed from her real eye. Naruto was stunned, but then he grabbed his sister and the tears began to fall. Poorly Yusuke observed Naruto's eye and handed him a mirror, saying, Boss. Red and blue. So awesome, given his suspicion that the red eye was a fake, Naruto remarked. As Naruto and Urza turned their attention to the entrance, Naruto noticed a small elderly person saying, Yes, it appears that you are awake, I'm Makarov, Pixie Tail's organizational guru. Makarov stood up and said, We're in. Pixie Tail, as he examined his sister, Naruto inquired. Makarov pulled out a stamp and added, In fact, you two are not individuals yet because your sister hung tight for you. To join the society, you would require an organization mark, he remarked, displaying his own blemish on his chest. While Naruto considered where to obtain his own, Urza received a blue stamp on her left arm. So, Naruto, where will you get yours? Here on my heart. Makarov said, holding the stamp. The best orange you've ever had, with his hand pointing to his heart, Naruto uttered. Later that day, Makarov drove Urza and Naruto to the organization. The two relatives are also dressed in new clothes. Makarov squeezed the stamp over the child's heart, and an orange stamp appeared. Urza is dressed in a skirt and breastplate, Naruto is dressed in a sleeveless orange vest, blue shorts, shoes, and a pair of green goggles on his head. An orange pair of gloves completes his ensemble. Makarov paved the way for the discovery of the civilization. They observed people fighting and drinking, saying, Tune in up imps. When the group stopped and examined the small elderly man, Makarov yelled, We have new family members joining our group. Introducing Naruto, Red and Urza. Makarov said as he motioned to the two redheads, Yo! Nice to meet you. Naruto flashed them a sultry smile and whispered. 2 years later. 2 years have passed after the kin joined the group, and during that time, Urza became a significant area of strength for someone who uses requip sorcery. Naruto is proficient in using an enchantment, having experimented with various things back at the pinnacle. As he rests his head on a table, Naruto, now 10 years old, finds a place at a table in society. He observes that Urza forces him to take on tedious missions while his sister embarks on exciting ones. He was a wonderful wizard who did more than just look for cats. His most recent task was to help find a woman's cat. He then witnessed his sister fighting with Mira Jane Strauss again. But Mira Jane, or Mira, and her family had only been in the society for a month, and the older one had been constantly at odds with Urza. The redhead woman undoubtedly approved of the younger one's taking charge of relatives. As he turned away from the competing females, Naruto thought, basically, she has somebody to talk to. Urza has been too defensive of Naruto ever since they entered the society, more than he would like to believe. Because everyone were too afraid of Urza to talk to him, the younger red kin had no one with whom to really talk. Having nothing else to do, Naruto surreptitiously accepted a task when Urza was busy. Urza could never permit him to do such jobs, as simple as eliminating a woodland hunter a town away. Naruto fled the society by boarding a train and departing Magnolia. Naruto arrived in the town less than an hour after the event. After verifying the address, he found a small farm in the woods. After a quick stroll, he arrived at the small homestead. As Naruto pounded on the doorway, he exclaimed, "Hello, mage from Pixie Tale." A man in a stereotypical rancher's outfit greeted him, saying, "Ahai, you look somewhat more youthful than I expected," and gesturing for Naruto to enter. After introducing himself, the man claimed that a hunter was killing his farmed animals in the evening. "No problem, I'm on it." As he walked out of the house, Naruto said. He failed to notice the man's smirk or the way his appearance had changed. Then a woman's voice could be heard saying, "You will cause me problems later on. I expected to take you out at this point." Presently, I can't help thinking about what sort of creature is it, Naruto thought to himself as he walked around a fallen log in the backwoods where he was searching for the hunter. At that moment, he noticed numerous trees that had fallen. As he set up his enchantment, Naruto remarked, "That is odd." A tree was thrown at him, removing the gatekeeper, and the child grabbed the log as he was forced back a foot or somewhere nearby. After being struck in the rear, he used his feet as an anchor to launch himself into the air again. Naruto just had time to catch a glimpse of his attacker, a wyvern, two wyverns, actually. As the main wyvern pounded its wing into Naruto's back, he said, "Okay, poo crates." Well, they are small, so they are youthful wyverns, Naruto thought as he stayed upright. At that moment, the second one smashed him against a tree. Before the wyvern could attack again, Naruto used his enchantment to send a blast through the air vertically. He then clenched his right palm. After that, there was a frame of orange sparkle. This was a magic created by people at the highest level, and it allows Naruto to retain almost everything and utilize it to fight back. The things that Naruto is sure he can consume are motor energy and wizardry. In order to protect himself, Naruto can use his retention sorcery, or mayhem enchantment, which enables him to create small entryway objects and even use primitive ether nano. "Hurry up, clench!" One of the young wyverns was trapped in the hole and caught beneath some debris when Naruto screamed as he smashed his clenched palm onto the ground, causing the ground to bend under the force and create a huge cavity. Naruto took a deep breath as his body glowed orange after the final wyvern accused him of moving more slowly than before. Turbulent. Naruto began as the wyvern approached. Similar to how the wyvern was a foot away from the little red head, Naruto kicked up vertically and said, "Nuclear," before streaking over it. As they turned to face the earth below, Naruto then grabbed the wyvern. "Hurry up!" As the wyvern landed on its head, Naruto yelled, and as he released it, its neck cracked. His only choice was to kneel down and begin gasping, thinking, that was the first time in some time when I used that much of my wizardry, as he inhaled rapidly. The guardians of the young wyverns that Naruto previously crushed were cleaning up after damaging trees, and a second thunder that was stronger than the principal made him paler than white. An eruptive thunder made his blood flow cool. As the female wyvern struck his chest with its wings, Naruto was unable to quickly shield himself from the intense thunders that followed the death of one of their children and the remaining one's proximity to the brink of death. "I think a couple of bones are broken," Naruto thought as the wyverns engulfed him. "That hurt," he thought as blood gushed from his mouth as the male sent him soaring up and the female sent him crashing down, creating a hole. "Seems as though you actually need my assistance." That was the last sound Naruto heard before losing consciousness. The wyverns were taken aback by Naruto's repulsive, black glow. Naruto, as she looked over the woods with three different wizards, Mira Jane Strauss, Natsu Dragneel, and Dark Full Buster, Urza Red sobbed. Urza forced the two younger mages to accompany her, and Lisanna had the choice to trick Mira into going with her. What a jerk! Naruto. We have ramen. When Urza discovered that Naruto had chosen a job, she began beating other members of the Pixie Tail until Mikao Conbolt gave her the answer. Were the calls of the other three mages? To assist her in finding her youngest sibling, she pulled the other three. Naruto. They were about to get down on more, but something cut them off. Urza sobbed as she chopped through a tree with a blade. When the thunder stopped, Urza froze and fell to her knees, thinking, this is equivalent to previously. As she covered her ears with her hands. When the thunder was done, Urza leaped to her feet and began frantically looking for her younger sibling. Naruto. Urza's cry grew louder as she rushed to the thunder's direction. The other three trailed behind her as the red-haired young woman trimmed through woods. The four of them paused when they saw a creature with crimson eyes and a cloaked in murkiness. It stayed over the male wyvern while the female was gutted a few meters away. The monster confronted the young magicians after tearing out the wyvern's heart with its mauled hand and crushing it in its pawed clenched hand. When the monster's red eyes locked with Urza's, she froze in fear. The mages were struck back by the monster's much more powerful, evil thunder, which sent them hurtling through the woods and thumping blindly. When Urza and the other three woke up, they found Naruto half-naked and covered in blood, fortunately not his own blood, but he did have 3 hair-like blemishes on each cheek at that moment. Awaken, Naruto, Urza replied, kneeling over her sibling with tears in her real eye. One tear fell from her face and landed on Naruto's, and the last choice began to flinch as he awoke. Urzane, the drama center? Naruto asked as he admired his elder sibling. Urza prevented the tears from falling as her younger sibling sat up. You bonehead! As she struck Naruto in the head, Urza screamed. Urza pulled him into an embrace before he could topple over, saying, never get me so anxious at any time down the road. Urza sobbed as more tears began to stream. I am grieved, Urzane, Naruto replied, returning his sister's embrace. As Natsu and Dim began fighting with Urza to keep her busy, Mira thought to herself, I can't help thinking about what that was it Naruto? She and Urza simply hoped they wouldn't ever see that thing again. What happened? Naruto questioned the more seasoned magicians. There was this Natsu began, but was interrupted by Mira and Dark covering his mouth. You must have caused enough chaos for one more animal to arrive here, Urza answered right away, and he trusted the younger redhead to understand. Alright, is there any chance we could go back to society at this time? As Urza picked up her younger sibling, Naruto said, sure, we should return home. Naruto was annoyed that he was being given a piggyback ride, though. I promise to get more grounded for you, Naruto. I'll get more grounded, Urzane, so you won't have to worry about me. The two relatives had the exact same thought, but later on, the two factors would clash. That is a tale for another day, but no, these two relatives will become more grounded for one another. Get your salmon-haired ass up, Natsu, as he pulled a wiped-out-looking Natsu Dragneel off the train, a now 16-year-old Naruto Red said. Naruto changed a lot in the years that passed. His face, or at least a good deal of his body, is hidden by his attire. He is wearing a red raincoat with a high collar that is closed by 3 X-shaped dark belts, a matching scarf that covers his lower face, and a dark headband that reaches his lower neck. He is wearing dark jeans and dark boots, and there is a dark cross-like pattern along the midriff of his overcoat. Other than his confused eyes and spiky red hair, nothing is really visible. At 16, Naruto had the ability to make a group of women flush at the slightest glance, which is why his sister got him the scarf to conceal a lot of his face. You had to accompany us because of the conversation. Now, let's leave. You are becoming more and more like your sister, regular Naruto, Naruto remarked as he threw the crippled Natsu off the train. This is Chiri, a flying blue cat replied. Naruto glared at the cat and yelled, close it cheerful, yes, sir. Presently, to keep that pink-haired dolt in the clear, Blissful murmured in fear while traveling to Natsu. Naruto told himself this as he disembarked from the train. Soon after, the 3 members of Pixie Tail are walking around the town when they spot a group of people. He should be there. Natsu hurried to the group, and Naruto thought, "Eh?" as he followed the more seasoned wizard. When he got there, the gang was reduced to 2 idiots and a young woman with light hair. "Natsu, what happened?" As he assisted his pink-haired friend up, Naruto inquired. "Thank you for the help," the fair-haired girl said, and the 3 Pixie Tail members were ultimately confused. Soon after, the young woman posing as Lucy offered the 3 food. "Please accept my apologies, I neglected to present myself. My name is Naruto," Naruto said. There are numerous empty bowls that were formerly filled with ramen all around him. Lucy remarked with a smile, "Good to meet you, Naruto." "Pardon me, but I should be off," Naruto said as he walked out of the cafe. The real reason he came to Harem was to discover a magician impersonating a Pixie Tail character. Later, in the evening, Naruto was walking down a street when he witnesses Cheerful taking Natsu to the port by air. Natsu! Happy, as he chased after them at a startling speed, Naruto murmured, "Naruto!" Right before the deadline. Someone on that transport is claiming to be a member of the organization. Natsu said out of frustration, "Truly? Why don't we go?" When Naruto finally located him, he said, chaos colon with orange paint all over his feet. "A rocket," Naruto remarked this as he launched himself hurtling toward the boat out to sea. After hovering over it for a while, he stopped using his enchantment and fell to the boat, but not before performing a few amazing midair flips. Men of the alleged lizard were alarmed by his appearance when he squatted down on the boat. "Lizard, I've come for you," Naruto said in his most ominous voice. "Naruto," Lucy said as her new companion came to save her, however that just completely demolished his incredible entry. "Wahahaha. The fish cake from your name," Lizard chuckled near his guys. Then, in good faith, Lizard faced the final option, but Naruto appeared at that moment. "It suggests whirlwind," Naruto replied, as each of Lizard's troops fell separately. "Naruto. No one left any for us," as Blissful flew him over the boat, Natsu uttered those words. "Actually don't have the foggiest idea how that generally occurs," Naruto thought as he looked down at the more experienced mage. Cheerful dropped the salmon-haired high schooler onto the boat and fled the haired female to somewhere safe and secure. Natsu ended up being debilitated when he made contact with the boat's deck. Lizard formed an enchanted seal and remarked, "Humph, seems like I need to control both of you before heading out for further young ladies to take to Bosco." "Unmistakable quality whip," Lizard said as he blasted Naruto with purple torrents of fire. The final choice caused his friend to be destroyed and to jump extremely high. "Your flares are truly sluggish," Naruto said as he ducked the fire with ease. After reaching the deck, Naruto directed his right palm at his opponent while it was coated with his orange-hued wizardry. Confusion. Naruto began as an enchanted circle and put Natsu onto the deck. He was taken off when the boat was reportedly dragged, hurled, to the ocean side, and as Natsu still had his mobility infection, he was thrown off the boat. When one of Lucy's heavenly souls, Aquarius, used her water sorcery to fling the boat onto the ocean side, Lucy and Cheerful were shocked. The blue cat spotted Natsu about to crash against the sand. Natsu appeared on a huge pile of pink fleece, just as Blissful was about to travel to his best friend. "Well done, Aries." When he reached the top of the boat, Naruto remarked, and Lucy noticed a pretty young woman with pink hair blushing and appearing shy due to Naruto's recognition. "She's a divine soul," the blonde said, pondering the big horns on her head. Lucy said in shock, "Yes." "The slam, Aries," Natsu exclaimed with joy and jumped to board the boat with Naruto. "Is Naruto a divine soul mage in this sense?" Lucy inquired, not expecting him to have one of the 12 zodiac signs. "Unfortunately, I'm his main soul," Aries replied, still flushed. Natsu walked over to Lizard and said, You mentioned that you're a member of the Pixie Tail group, right? As one of his guys regained consciousness, Lizard remarked. Given that, as he shed his scarlet coat, Natsu remarked, I'm Pixie Tail's Natsu. And I haven't seen you at all. As he displayed his red organization blemish on his arm, Natsu declared. Natsu was a member of Pixie Tail, Lucy said in surprise. Yes. As well as Naruto, as he ate a fish from elsewhere, Blissful exclaimed, this individual is the real article Bora. In fear, Bora's now aware toddler uttered, don't call me that. Lizard yelled. With his arms folded, Naruto uttered, Bora the unmistakable quality, removed from the Titan Nose Society for manhandling your magic, adding, you two are driving me crazy. Skull in red, as he directed a massive circle of fire at the two magicians, Bora said the words, gratitude for the grub pretender, Natsu said sarcastically, I swear I've seen him previously, the pink-haired, scaly-looking scarf, he's the genuine. Bora's flunky said as Lucy finished his sentence. Natsu then proceeded to breathe in the fire while holding the chunk of fire in his hands. Amazing, Lucy exclaimed, startled, I'm all fired up. Thunder of the fire mythical beast. The attack struck Bora and destroyed a portion of the boat, Natsu stated, emitting a light from his mouth. Naruto remarked, you overdid it again, Natsu, as he jumped down onto the ocean side. Since using his magic to fly in the air was the last resort, he then leaped out of sight and planted his foot on Bora's chest. Notable hurricane quality, when his attack struck Naruto, Bora's smirk vanished when he saw Naruto holding his forgotten hand, which shone orange from his magic. Bora muttered this as he sent a twisting surge of fire toward Naruto. Bora smiled. What was Naruto's method? Some kind of spell? Naruto's enchantment is extraordinary, Lucy said to Cheerful and Aries. While there are comparable kinds of sorcery, they don't work like his, Aries said, never taking her eyes off Naruto. In addition to the fact that it allows him to maintain his wizardry, Aries stated, Naruto can ingest any sort of enchantment and utilize the enchanted energy to drive his own, he calls it mayhem sorcery, Lucy gasped. To have the option to utilize crude ether nano is astonishing, Aries said. Naruto responded, my turn, disarray tropical storm, as an orange magic circle formed. He then blasted Bora with a spiraling light emission. The final choice managed to escape in time and appeared terrified. As Lucy appeared perplexed, Bora remarked, at this moment, I am aware of your identity. The red coat, red hair, and confused eyes, you're the Red Shinigami. Lucy inquired since the name sounded familiar. As she watched Naruto strike Bora in the stomach, Aries remarked, Red Shinigami, red coming from his red-hued hair, and Shinigami for his wizardry. The justification behind being known as a Shinigami is for the obliteration he causes. One more explanation is his weapon. I'm burned out on messing around, time to end this, Aries thought inwardly. Also, many individuals guaranteed he was the divine force of the afterlife because of the dismay he gives individuals, Naruto stated as he appeared behind Bora. The final option was to send the clench hand flying in through Harjan's constructions before striking a chime on one of them. Disarray knuckle, Naruto murmured as he covered it and pounded it on Bora's back. When Lucy saw all the destruction Naruto had caused, she exclaimed, isn't that a little over the edge? Is that the military? Blissful exclaimed as he took off, we should leave. Natsu exclaimed as he rushed with Lucy in behind. Naruto flew near them, his arms containing a red Aries that was flushed. Where are you taking me? As Lucy sobbed while trying to keep her dress down, Naruto remarked, well, you said you needed to join Pixie Tail, and Aries, embarrassed, went back to the Divine Soul World. Well, we ought to leave, as Lucy wheezed momentarily, Natsu said with joy, you'd better believe it. We ought to leave, as they left the military, Lucy remarked, Pixie Tail, this is the only way to do it. I can hardly handle it, I made it, Lucy thought as Natsu walked up to the entrance, and he kicked the doors open. Natsu muttered as they stayed outside the society entryways. "We've returned home." Natsu hollered as individuals from the organization investigated at him, one specifically a man with buck teeth. "Hello, Natsu." Despite Natsu giving him a hard kick to the face, the man would have said more. "I heard what happened in Harem." While Lucy was surprised, this led to another altercation in the community. "Sit back and relax, this happens a great deal," a white-haired beauty stated as she walked up to Lucy. "Kaya. This is the real Mira Jane." In a tone reminiscent of a young girl fan, Lucy said. Before anything further was stated, Mira listened to a particular person wearing a red shroud. "Gracious Naruto. I didn't see you." The entire organization became silent as soon as Mira shouted those words, and people began mumbling in the community. "He's back. Is Ursa aware of where he disappeared to? He's actually wearing that. I can't help thinking about how much harm was brought about by his enchantment once more." These were some of the statements made by members of the community. "Naruto, would you like some ramen?" Mira inquired in an attempt to calm Naruto before he did anything else. Naruto was waiting impatiently at the bar counter as soon as she uttered ramen. Everything was quiet until Natsu started fighting a half-naked teenager. Then, the whole group started fighting again, and nobody seemed to worry until Natsu and Dim discovered Naruto, which caused the younger wizard to spill his ramen. "Go! Don't ponder about the past. Just ran." Naruto grabbed them by the necks of their clothes and raised them up as Natsu and Dark yelled as they tried to flee from the red-haired high schooler. At that moment, Naruto turned his head and faced the entrances. The doors then closed tightly, preventing the members of the group from departing. They attempted to force the door open using magic, but soon discovered that Naruto's magic had covered the door. In a low, menacing voice, Naruto said, "Natsu. Dark, both of you just committed an amazing sin. We didn't plan to spill your ramen, Naruto-sama. I feel like I'm going to urinate in my jeans, or I would if I were wearing jeans," Dim remarked. When the other two let their watchman down, Naruto remarked, "Well, since you apologized, I get it's alright." "Really?" Natsu inquired, but Dark kept his mouth shut to prevent further utterance. Natsu was soon compelled to wear his scarf, and he and Dark, the last choice, were thrown from the organization through the rooftop. Dark's own fighters were shoved into his mouth. Naruto muttered, "There, the miscreants have been rebuffed," as he descended again. A few seconds later, Natsu and Dim entered the society. The final choice appeared to be like him throwing up a storm. Lucy knew Makarov at the time and accepted her pink organization stamp. Naruto was eating another bowl of ramen when he overheard a conversation about Makarov and Romeo Conbolt, the child of society member Mikao Conbolt. He witnessed Romeo strike Makarov across the face and leave the organization. The others, aside for Lucy, were shocked that Naruto had left his ramen partially finished when he got up and sliced his chopsticks into the bar counter before leaving the society. Lucy, being the idiot she was for a portion of the story, decided to ask the obvious. "Why is everyone surprised that he stopped eating his ramen?" As they saw Natsu go, Lucy asked Mira, "Nothing, and I amount to nothing can get Naruto to turn upward from his ramen," and Lucy's perspiration fell. Why did they depart in that manner? "See, when Natsu was a young man, he was raised by a winged serpent," Mira remarked as Lucy looked perplexed. "All things considered, I get this on the grounds that they see themselves in Romeo," Lucy said to the more seasoned wizard. On one occasion Igneel left Natsu. Since that day, Natsu battles to see his dad again sometime in the not-so-distant future, Mira remarked while taking a deep breath. Naruto is an alternate case. While Naruto has a more seasoned sister, she frequently peers down on him. He simply needs to impress her. It's hard for him as he doesn't get a lot of help from anybody in the organization. They dread on the off chance that they support him, his sister will get them, Mira said as people around her looked down. The ongoing snowstorm has little effect on Mihako or Naruto Natsu blissful, but Lucy is complaining about it nevertheless, saying, Macau. Natsu and cheerful followed suit as Naruto yelled out. How come none of you three are cold? Lucy sobbed as Naruto became agitated. The red-haired man spread his arms apart, his hands glistening orange, and he seized them as a replica of his jacket appeared. After giving Lucy the coat in the hopes that she would stop complaining, he jumped away when a Vulcan, which resembled a monkey, bounced down and said, Ladies, I like women. As he examined Lucy, the Vulcan remarked, Hi there. A monkey. Where is Macau? Natsu yelled as he pointed out the Vulcan. The last choice slapped Natsu and proceeded to grab Lucy. He would have gotten Lucy even though Naruto had stayed ahead of the blonde woman. Let me ask you this, where is Macau? The Vulcan tried to pursue Naruto with its other hand after he claimed to have grabbed its wrist, but Naruto hammered his knee into its jaw instead. The Vulcan, a cunning monkey, was launched toward the mountains after being flung into the snow once more. Come back here. As he flew after the Vulcan and shone orange, Naruto remarked. Naruto went inside a cavern up the mountain and scowled at the Vulcan, saying, All right, you crowded monkey, where's Macau? As he broke his clenched hands, Naruto spoke those words. The Vulcan then charged at him, beating his clenched hands on its chest. With ease, Naruto began to sidestep the crowded monkey's attack. Seeing a gap, Naruto placed a clenched fist wrapped in orange in the Vulcan's stomach and exclaimed, Ora! As the blow caused the Vulcan to crash into the wall, Naruto murmured. Before the Vulcan even reached the stopping point, it was thudded unawares. Then, as Naruto's eyes widened, it began to shine. I neglected. Vulcans can utilize assumed control over wizardry, so this one must have assumed control over Macau, Naruto remarked as his injured and unaware companion formed the shape of the Vulcan. When Natsu, Blissful, and Lucy arrived, they witnessed Naruto tending to a wounded Macau. Hello, Natsu and Cheerful. Do you think you could help me get back to Romeo? As Natsu smiled, Macau remarked, As he raised his clenched palm in the air, Naruto soon found himself lying in bed somewhere, thinking, how much more grounded do I need to get to demonstrate to Urzane? To demonstrate to everybody? To demonstrate to myself that I am solid? Then, he closed his eyes and thought, this is a chance for me to rest. I'll think about that later. A few days had passed after Naruto and his group rescued Macau from Mount Hakob, and to be honest, Naruto was worn out. He is currently sitting by himself in the organization's bar as Natsu dragged Lucy away on a mission with Blissful. I'm worn out, the 16-year-old with red hair moaned as he rested his head on the bar counter. Well, how about you start a project? As she presented a tray of food to an unnamed party, Mira remarked, there might be an interesting one now. Naruto jumped up from his seat and checked the mission, fatigued, knocking slightly by Catch, who was still looking for a task. Message received, he said. Beating a stream beast, halting a frenzied man in red who was eating mushrooms, man, these positions appear to be quite simple, Naruto began until a particular one caught his eye, cooperation mission, safeguard paleontologist team in baffling swampland ruins. Hi, Mira. Are you familiar with the Kate Safe House organization? As he got closer to the model with the mission slip nearby, Naruto yelled. Mira remarked as the younger mage sat down at the bar, unusual this journey explicitly requested them, but they're a fairly small organization, so relatively few individuals are familiar with them. Sign me up, because this was the most intriguing one I could find, Mira smiled and stepped the page as Naruto spoke. If Ursa comes back before me, let her know I'm working on something. As he grabbed the document, fled the organization, and used his confusion rocket spell to reach the goal, Naruto yelled. At the gallery, it remarked, we should see. Where is it now? He arrived in the modest community in the same manner as the train, So roughly 5 minutes earlier, Naruto asked himself as he walked around it holding the mission slip. Similarly, he was so engrossed in the objective page that he failed to notice someone approaching a similar corner as he was turning it. Perhaps he spotted it when they bumped into one another and she fell. While helping the young woman up, Naruto apologized, "Gracious, I'm grieved. I've been trying to find where my central goal is found, so I wasn't giving any consideration." Fortunately, his face was covered so she wouldn't see him flush. Her fair skin seems to go well with her delicate earthy eyes, which sparkle from her rather simple attire, which consists of a sleeveless red top with a dark heart on the stomach, a plain dark skirt that hits her mid-thigh, and high dark tights. She is a young woman of his age with long blue hair and twin bangs that outline her face. The young woman added, "It's okay, I'm also searching for where my main goal is as well," before they were interrupted by another speaker. "You savage, unhand her!" A small white cat swooped down and landed between the two teenagers, yelling. The blue-haired teenager responded, "It's okay, Carla," as she received the newly called Carla. As the white cat disliked his statement, Naruto replied, "It's a female blissful." "Sorry, a guildmate of mine is very much like you, a talking feline, with the exception that he's blue," Naruto remarked. The young woman with the blue hair said to Naruto, "Goodness, I'm Wendy Marvel." "You're a mage. What society are you from?" "Since Wendy presently has stars for eyes," he responded, "Good to meet you, Wendy. My name's Naruto and I'm an individual from Pixie Tale, only to freeze." "Are you really acquainted with Urza Red?" "How could one describe Mara Jane Strauss?" Wendy hurriedly inquired, only for Carla to laugh. "How can we be certain that he is a member of Pixie Tale?" Carla said, "I don't see an organization stamp," and then Naruto started taking off his raincoat, turning Wendy a bright scarlet. Naruto essentially replied, "It's here," revealing his organization mark above his heart and the grain that allows them to view the skin beneath his clothing. Wendy gave the red-haired high school student her society mark when he was adjusting his clothes. "Gracious, you should be the part who acknowledged a similar journey as I'm an individual from Kate Haven," she stated. As the two humans and the cat attempted to locate the historical center, Naruto remarked, "Okay, just track down the exhibition hall for now." 10 minutes later, the trio found themselves in a small exhibition space, talking to an elderly man dressed in stereotypical archaeological attire while 19 others were dressed in everyday clothes. The elderly man said, "In this way, on the off chance that there are any animals about in the vestiges, your errand is to overcome them so my group can gain from the remnants. Kindly make a point to not obliterate any of the remains," as he and the rest of his group moved the two mages out of the gallery. The wizards and archaeologists arrived at the entrance to the swampland after a half-hour trip in an enchanted four-wheeler that was pulling an extension containing various equipment, and they were able to observe a few ancient, destroyed buildings. When Naruto started to perspire, the elderly person remarked, "We showed up. Presently remember the remains are significant. I comprehend Pixie Tale individuals are somewhat horrendous." The red-haired teenager essentially walked into the remnants as Carla said to Wendy as they were in the air, "Wendy, as I look for any hidden traps, let me know if you see anything." Naruto summoned the magician with the blue hair. Naruto continued to go through the marsh, saying, "We should see nothing," only to halt as he crossed a huge, verdant incline. Naruto said to himself, "Weird, I sense mysterious energy, so it can't be an ordinary slope, in addition to its canvassed in greenery, not grass," as he touched the slope to remove some of the greenery. He noticed as he swept aside more plants that it was a stone vault construction. Leaping up on top of the arch, he came across an odd platform-like object. Naruto was about to go when a hand grabbed his and pounded it on the stone circle, saying, "Presently this is not exactly right," as he examined a perfectly clean half-circle of stone on the platform. Naruto pulled his hand out from the edge and turned to see who had done it, only to be confronted by the elderly man as soon as a sharp object pierced his hand and his blood trickled onto it. "Why? Naruto began solely to make the old man laugh, and for the laughter to spread to everyone's laughter. How naive you mages are! Not noticing a noticeable trap when it's on exhibit. Nobody worries because no one knows who they are, which is why we chose Kate's safe house. A guy from a reputable company was inconvenienced, but I thought I could repair it. The old man laughed as the building began to tremble and emit purple light. As the elderly man essentially walked down to the lower portion of the design, Naruto used his magic to soar very high, saying, "Presently untold wealth have a place with me now." A little blood punishment was all we really wanted. As the building gleamed and shook even more violently, the old man yelled, "Naruto!" Similar to how other males approached the old person, Wendy yelled as Carla flew near the red-haired wizard. The construction exploded after the light and shaking momentarily stopped, leaving a massive shadow in the smoke. What? Untold wealth, not a beast, we were told, one man yelled as a large group of red eyes peered at them from the cloud. And giant reptile beast with 3 heads and necks resembling snakes emerged from the smoke. As the Hydra thundered and began devouring the terrified men and the old man, Naruto exclaimed, "A Hydra! I can't let such a monster live." As he descended to the Hydra's level, Naruto yelled, "Hey Hydra, I'm Naruto Red. Get ready for another nap. This one, however, will be till the end of time forever." Wendy exclaimed, "He's him, the Red Shinigami," as Naruto spread his arms wide and a piece of magic formed in each. In order to divert attention, the Red Shinigami directed the 2 enchantment effects at each other. Wendy watched as the Hydra protruded its heads from the smoke, and it thundered in agony as one of its heads caused a commotion throughout the village with a flash of orange. A red piece of enchantment formed in each of their mouths as 2 more heads formed and thundered at the red-headed magician above them. They each stopped using light emission wizardry on Naruto. Crates of poop, as the attack struck him squarely and a cloud of smoke engulfed him, Naruto yelled out, "Naruto!" Wendy exclaimed in surprise as the air cleared, and she mumbled that she was relieved to see that he was alright and that his hands and arms were open. Naruto remarked, "Didn't anticipate that they should have the option to do that," as Carla flew near him. He then grabbed the young woman and the cat as more shots were fired at them. Naruto remarked, "I realized they regrow a head every time it gets removed, yet not the terminating radiates part," as Carla's head took on a tick mark. "Why did you previously cut off its head?" Carla yelled at the red-haired sorceress. As he approached the Hydra, Naruto remarked, "I was hoping to create so many heads that it will be stable. I guess I'll just have to get by." As he threw the young woman and cat more out of view and let himself dive, Naruto murmured, "A warning would have been really beneficial." Carla yelled as she grabbed Wendy and her wings appeared. "Hello, awful. I'm not yours," as he swiftly circled the Hydra, who launched bursts of crimson sorcery at the flying mage with each head. Naruto insulted. "Arms X Vernier X protective layer," Wendy remarked as a magical circle appeared on her hand and beneath Naruto. "Naruto, I backed your protection, speed, and unity," Wendy yelled as Naruto grinned beneath his disguise and scarf and sped past the Hydra. "What's the point of me accelerating a score?" As his body began to fly much more quickly and was surrounded by a more magnificent fog of wizardry, Naruto yelled. Using Wendy's lift and his more grounded rocket, he formed a massive twister that encircled the Hydra. "Hey Wendy! I'd like to think you're familiar with some hostile spells." As he approached Wendy, Naruto remarked, "The Hydra was launched into the air by the massive storm, and he charged an enchanted ball in his grasp while Wendy inhaled." Similarly, as they prepared to use their magic, the Hydra did something unexpected. It bit the bullet of enormous wings. The Hydra soared quickly behind them, with red pieces of magic charged in each mouth. Naruto said, "This can't be any great," as the beast pursued the 2 and surrounded them with the crimson onslaught. The Hydra then let out a thunder of victory. "This would be a good place to wrap things up, but I won't, I'll do it later." Naruto remarked, "That was close," when he and the Kate Haven residents were enchanted in an orange circle. My boundary hasn't felt that sort of force in quite a while, he stated. As the barrier split apart, Wendy froze. Naruto then handled the Hydra away from her. Wendy, when I let the obstruction go, I believe that you and Carla should fly back to the town. I'll manage the Hydra, Naruto remarked. What did I say? Go! Carla instantly took off as the red-haired teenager's hands glowed orange as Naruto yelled as he appeared on the Hydra's back. Naruto struck down between the Hydra's wings, sending it lower with each blow. The beast instantly used its tail to tear the wizard away from it as it thundered. As it thundered at him, the Hydra used its long tail to bring Naruto in front of its numerous heads. You know, it's great for me that Wendy is gone now. Naruto began, his body glowing a much more magnificent orange. Naruto muttered, yet again because I don't need to keep down as much any longer, as he broke free of the Hydra's grip and appeared over its back. One vicious blow from the red-haired teenager sent the Hydra crashing to the ground. You should be thundering in agony right now. As he appeared beneath the Hydra and used a kick to send it flying back high, Naruto said, then moved to the Hydra's right and sent it taking off again. Just think about how Rock Lee defeated Gaara during the Chunin tests. Right now, take this, as he appeared above the Hydra and launched a variety of magic beams from his right hand, Naruto uttered those words. The Hydra roared in agony as the bars caused it to crash into the ground and through its wings. In response, the Hydra used its magical powers to tear off several heads until it had 10 in all. All of the heads thundered at the high school student. In response, the Hydra pointed its heads upward and launched larger bursts of wizardry than before. Presently we should perceive how you handle this, Naruto remarked, lifting his right arm above his head with a massive piece of magic framed on it. This is it. Confusion. Naruto started as he then, at that point, tossed the enormous bundle of enchantment downwards, Nova. The two wizardry attacks then collided and each tried to overpower the other attack, but the Hydra countered with 10 massive light emissions. If only you had been more grounded, this would have been more fun, as he spread his arms and his attack surpassed the Hydra's, Naruto yelled. The bundle of wizardry made it to the Hydra after enduring the conflicting sorcery attack. As Naruto's attack exploded, it released a final thunderclap. Alongside Carla and Wendy, Carla, take off. As the white cat shook her head at the child's response, Wendy asked. Carla told the blue-haired magician, Wendy, it's too risky. He was right when he said that we anticipated running. In any event, a massive gleam of light emerged from a hole in the ground before Wendy could speak another word. The two of them turned to behold a massive whirling vault of orange-hued magic. Naruto, as Carla flew back to where they had left the red-haired magician, Wendy sobbed. Returning to Naruto, Naruto said, presently we should see where this thing came from, as he entered a large opening created by his attack. He then began to walk to the location where the Hydra had previously been. Similarly, he heard the blue-haired wizard call his name as he was approaching the destroyed building before being carried in an embrace. I'm so glad you're okay, Wendy remarked as Naruto reddened beneath his blanket and scarf. Naruto chuckled, I won't go out that effectively, particularly from something so frail. I thought Hydra should be more grounded, only to be confronted by Wendy's dejected expression. Hey, what's that expression? Naruto asked the blue-haired young woman who was moping, and her cat said. When Carla explained, Naruto's confused eyes slightly widened. She's frantic at you for accomplishing something so foolish. You're her most memorable companion from Outside Out organization, she said. As he tapped the top of Wendy's head, Naruto began to apologize. Please accept my apologies for being so that's what wild-like, but was cut off when he requested a letter lacrima. Hey Mira, this is Naruto. How are you? As the model's face appeared on the lacrima, Naruto questioned her. The model clarified for the younger adolescent, I apologize for interrupting your main objective, but Urza asked you to return to the organization for something important. Naruto hung up the lacrima and put it back in his requip area, telling Mira, "It's okay, we just completed our central goal, I'll be back in an hour or somewhere nearby." "Hey Wendy, how about you visit the organization to meet Mira and my sister as a token of regret?" The young woman with blue hair and stars for eyes was asked by Naruto. "We ought to leave," as Carla's wings appeared and they lifted off, Naruto following. Wendy remarked, unbeknownst to them, someone entered the swampland after they had departed. A woman's voice said, "Looks like he's gotten more grounded since last time, he's practically great," as she took in the two mages fly away.